Okay, our next speaker is Sarah Barton from Bournville Academy. As I think most people in this room are aware, the attack on pensions is partly about making the public sector more attractive to big business and easier to privatise. And in education, we're already seeing that process as academies and free schools erode the truly public and accountable provision of education. And Sarah's been at the forefront of an inspiring campaign against Bournville School and Sixth Form Centre becoming an academy. And doubtless she'll say it's only round one for them and that there's a bigger fight to be had. But I think there are lessons we can learn from the way that Sarah and her colleagues have gone about taking on the governance of Bournville School.
Thanks very much. I did speak to another venue against the Cook meeting. How long ago it was, a month or so ago, and at that point we were right in the middle of the campaign, so it's really good to be back here again and to be able to give you good news, and that we have actually put a stop to it for the time being. For those of you who I've spoken to before who might not have heard the news, the governors of Bournville School have agreed to postpone their consideration of academy status for the rest of this academic year. So it hasn't gone away completely. We're still here and we're still keeping up the fight and we're still keeping these issues alive and I'm still campaigning. But we are, feeling quite victorious over that. What I want to say tonight is that the strike next week is about more than pensions. We've already heard some of the reasons why. But for me, the strike is really against privatisation of our schools, of our education service, and I believe the same thing is happening in the health service as well. That academies and free schools are privatisation. There are predatory chains wanting to take over our schools and wanting to run our schools for profit. And these are chains such as Way Education, which is run by a former Ofsted boss, Ben Atkins. And they're wanting to run our schools for profit. And Way Education tells its prospective investors that efficiencies can be made in the operation of schools, combined to make a clear opportunity to make a substantial return to investors. And when I read that on the internet last week, I made me feel sick. I'm a parent, and I was campaigning at Bournville School as a parent. I'm also a teacher, and I just think it's absolutely disgusting what is happening to our schools, and that this is happening right under our noses, and that most people are not aware that this is what is happening, because it's not what is presented by the government. The Academy proposal is not represented truthfully and honestly as what it really is, which is privatisation. A UK analyst.com company, a stock market advisor, actually made Way Education their tip of the day, and they said the UK market for education is massive. That our schools are being, effectively, they are being sold off. One of the reasons that the pensions issue is so important to the government is because the pensions being expensive is a huge deterrent to the private sector who are waiting in the wings, ready to take over our public services, ready to take over our education system and our NHS. The pensions need to come down to make it a more viable prospect for private companies to run. So pensions are important, but it is also the privatisation issue that's important for me. I haven't made very many notes because I was told only to speak for 5 minutes, so I hope that's okay. I could go on and on about academies, but I don't want to speak too long. But the education of our children is not going to be the main purpose of our education system when our schools are being run for profit. The main purpose of the education system will be to make those companies profit. and children won't matter anymore. And the children that will lose out the most will be the children that are most in need, that are most vulnerable,
That's right.
and not going to get our schools up the league table. Those children will be got rid of. You can already see it happening in academies today, where schools that become academies. There was one that was in the news not so long ago and had been inspected 18 months after becoming an academy, had been inspected again, and its SEN level, the number of pupils that were had special educational needs, had reduced from being well over the national average to being just above the national average. I think it was they were double the national average when they were at community school, and then 18 months later as an academy, they were just above the national average. So these children have gone somewhere, and they're not in that school anymore, and that's the result of becoming an academy. The Bournville School campaign was a success. It's still going on. We know that it hasn't gone away, and we will have to look at this again at some point. But it was a success because we worked together. The parents worked together with the teachers, with the unions that were represented within that school worked together. The NET, the NASWT, and other unions within the school all worked together. And we also worked together with the community. And thirdly, in Boston Against the Touch, my local anti-touch group that I went along to quite early on in the campaign, and they provided an enormous amount of support and help. So I do want to say a really big thank you to them tonight. But really, the other message that I want to give is that by working together, and I think particularly unions working together, and also working with parents, not seeing parents as something separate, something different that they don't get involved in. It isn't their job to represent parents, but I think in the times that we are in, unions do need to work with parents, alongside parents, in order to fight this, because it's a big fight, and we're not necessarily winning. And that's all I want to say. One last thing, just to say, anybody that would be able to give up their time to go and stand at their local school as a community governor, or if they have children to stand as a parent governor, or if you're a member of staff in school, get on the governing body, please, and try and keep stop to it from the inside as well. Thank you.